So I presented my question to the NAWCC, and then I did an eBay search on movements. There's a guy in the NAWCC that told me that the movement looked to be New Haven. And I did a search on eBay and I couldn't find the movement. So I did a Google search and I came across this site right here. Let me show you something. That is the exact same movement that I have, and you can see it takes a ladder chain, and I'll go ahead and save this image to my computer. So stand by. Okay, so it's the exact same movement. The information, if you scroll down in this information, it'll say it could be a New Haven movement. And then a person says, "Thank you so much. I found my information on this web page. I found the clock in the J.S. Ford Johnson and Company 1904 catalog. Is on page 84. If you click on this, and it takes you to a catalog, and there's their clock, or I believe that's their clock. A New Haven movement with brass weights. And so I am confident that it's a New Haven movement. Here's another one. Antique Ithaca, New Haven, grandfather clock weight driven movement. The movement looks very similar to mine. As far as the style, it looks almost identical, except for mine has these notches here. So again, I'm pretty confident it's a New Haven movement. And so it helps to do a little bit of research. And on this Worth Point site, up for sale is this antique American grandpa clock movement, not working, so for parts of repair, there are no change. Neither the case nor the movement was signed, but the case was in Ithaca, and this movement is almost definitely made by the New Haven Clock Company. And so, like I said, it looks almost identical to my movement. So I'm gonna go ahead and reply to that person on the NAWCC message board and link these two web pages that I found showing that it's New Haven clock movement. And after further research, I found my exact clock. Now this is on the Antique Clocks Identification and Price Guide, because I already knew it had a New Haven movement in it from my previous research. Here is the clock, and here is the movement, exact same movement, and here is the dial, exact same dial that I have. So However, in order for me to find out anything else, I would have to sign up, and it costs money to do so. So I'm going to find out whether anybody in my group is signed up for this webpage and see if they could tell me exactly when it was made. But I'm happy, and it shows you what the finial, the middle finial should look like, and so I'm happy. Still searching for the model. Sorry, the date. Here's a site from 2015. Its exact clock, exact movement, exact ladder chain. In 2015, it said it was estimated at $600 to $800. And it says it was made in 1911. Whether that's true or not, I'm just going by what I'm finding. It sounds about right to me. I don't know when they quit using the ladder chain, but here's what the chain looks like. Of course, the chain is not on the movement, and it's off. But again, the dial, exact same dial of my clock, and the case itself, exact same clock. So 1911, still an antique, over 110 years old. And my friend that I bought it off of has the Trans-Delay books, and he just sent this to me. The Sherbrooke model was made in 1911. So, enough said. The clock was made in 1911. Like I said, this is from the Trans-Delay book. My friend that he picked up the clock for me sent me. The list price in 1911 was $159.50, and then if it had price pitted with Westminster chime movements, chiming on the quarter hours and key feet or long, was an extra $72.50. But this doesn't have that. I read somewhere where somebody said they have one of these clocks where it's got a New Haven movement in the front, and in the rear it has Westminster chime movement, and they said that Westminster chime movement was made in Canada. But my friend is sending me a picture. His book was dated 2000. It's got a price list of what this clock was valued at in 2000, and that value is $3,000. In about 2000, 2001 is when clock prices started dropping. I think I got that picture now. Now you can't see it, but up here at the top it says 711, and over here it says 712. And when you go to this price guide, 712 was valued at $3,000 in the year 2000. But as I was saying, right about that time frame, I came back to the States in May of 2000. And right about that time frame is when clock prices started going down, especially grandfather clock prices. And this is the 2000 price update to New Haven clocks and watches. As I was saying, the English, the antique grandfather clock that I got over in England, made by Benjamin Gray of Loughborough, England. I had to get an appraisal for it before I left England, for my extra insurance that I bought, and it was valued by a professional clock repairman at $5,000. And when I got to the States, out of all my clocks that I bought over in England, the only clock that got damaged, and they built a special crate for this grandfather clock, the only clock that got damaged was that clock. The original glass that had the imperfections for the door, the glass for the door, that glass got broke. So I made an insurance claim, and I had to get another appraisal, and I got it appraised in 2000, and I came back in May of 2000, probably 2 months later, my household goods showed up, but it appraised for $5,000. Today, that clock would not appraise anywhere near that, and the clock prices have dropped. And I think a lot of it's got to do with the younger generation doesn't want tall case clocks in their house, but I also think a lot of it's got to do with to give it serviced or repaired, it's more than what they can afford or what they want to pay, and so that's why grandfather clocks are so cheap. On Marketplace, here's a brand new grandfather clock they're selling for $100. It is probably a battery operated movement. I don't see any winding holes. The chains they look decorative, but you can find there's a 9-tube grandfather clock, 9 tubes for $750. If you're paying more than $50 for a grandfather clock, it better be something really special. I can get them all the time for $50 or less. Here's a 1790 English grandfather clock in all working order, $24.50. It's just sad what the clock prices on grandfather clocks are. Here's a Ridgeway grandfather clock. I'm not going to click on it, but it's $100. Ridgeway used to be very expensive clocks. If you go into a shop to buy a brand new grandfather clock, you're going to spend a few $1,000s. But used grandfather clocks, you can find them all day long for $50 or less. There's one right here, $50. But yeah, I did drive to Kentucky to buy that antique grandfather clock I have. I paid $140 for it. There was like 5 or 6 people in front of me. They didn't want it. I will pay that all day long. I love it. It's a workmanship. The what it took back then to make these clocks. People made a lot of parts by hand. They were skilled craftsmanship, cabinet makers, making the clocks by hands, and a lot of times they would put movements in. A friend of mine told me that Ithaca used Welch movements in their calendar clocks. Their grandfather clocks they used. He's got one, he believes it's got a Gilbert movement in it. And I showed you on the NAWCC, they said that a lot of times New Haven movements were used. But, I'm happy with my clock. When I die, hopefully my children will pick one of the clocks to keep for themselves. Or if not, sell them and make decent money. So it turns out that I don't have to order any chains, because my friend had another box that when he picked up this clock for me, he was having a 3-day yard sale, and so there was a lot going on, and him and his wife, basically his wife, found this in the garage. So he's gonna come visit me next Saturday, and which is the 28th of September, and bring these to me along with a pendulum stick. So that's great, because I was racking my brains trying to figure out how am I going to figure out which ladder chain that I need. And as you can see, it comes with all the finials also. So thank God for that. So it has been a couple days, and I'm not completely satisfied with the final results. I'm pretty well out of Howard bead and wax, so I'm going to use New Life Furniture Mask and put another coat of protection on the case. My friend is going to mail me the chains and stuff. He was going to come see me this weekend, but he's got other previous plans, so he was going to come see me next weekend, but I've got plans, so he's just going to mail me the chains, and I'll get the rest of the parts. He's going to mail me the chains and the finials, and then I'll get the pendulum stick when I go see him in November. So I got the main case cleaned up. I repaired the door, and it's back on. Um, it's missing the top hinge post for the bottom here, so I just put a nail in it and it works. Took some sprayway glass cleaner to the glass door here. This stuff works great. If you haven't used it, I highly suggest that you get it. I use it on my TVs, my computer, but anytime you clean electronics, such as a TV or a computer, you need to unplug it. I know somebody, and I've talked about this before, his wife was cleaning up their computer, didn't unplug it. She was electrocuted, and she's disabled now. So always unplug your electronics. I moved a clock that was here, and I put it in a different room. Anyway, I think it's going to look great there. Putting the door back on the hood, the brass washer goes first, and then this hinge, and then the screw on both sides. With the hood on, this is definitely the tallest clock that I have in my house. And let me open the door so you can see it a little bit better. But with the middle finial on, it's going to be taller. I believe it's supposed to be 96 inches tall. So definitely tall. Now that part goes on, and then the hood goes on, but that part is where the movement goes. And let me take the hood off. It's not a typical hood where it slides into place with grooves. It just sits on there. And there are screw holes here and here and here and on the opposite side. And that is what these slots in this wood is for. And so you have to line that up just right, the way the movement and the dial match up with the hood. And I don't think that this goes all the way down. I think it sticks up some, because this board here is almost flush with this board. This board has got space in it. The total board together is too wide for the hood, so I think the hood slides underneath this board and this board. And I was right, it slides underneath those boards. If I had somebody here filming when I did everything, you could see, but you're going to have to take my word for it. I don't have that seat board. The seat board is what the movement sits on. Yes, I do know the name of parts. I get people who tell me, you really should tell people the true name of the parts. Like, for instance, the Pac-Man. I call it a Pac-Man. It looks like a Pac-Man. It's easier to say than gathering cam with gathering pen. I know what it's called. But I also found that people that watch my YouTube videos, they could care less what the name of the parts are called. Because when we video chat, I'm like, did you adjust the gathering cam with gathering pen? What are you talking about? Did you adjust the Pac-Man? What are you talking about? They want to know how to fix their clocks. They could care less what the name of the parts are. Over time, when I first started, I could care less what the name of the parts were. But over time, as you continue to work on clocks, you will get curious on what the name of the parts are. But when you first start off, the only thing you're concerned about is what's wrong with your clock and how to fix it. And as you can see, well, the hour hand is not quite right, because it ain't supposed to be turning that much. Let me fix that. But anyway, I was going to say, as you can see, when the hands is rotated properly, the pen catches the moon dial, and then this pen is what keeps it in place after this pen rotates it. It's going to move, and then it's going to fall back, and it's going to fall back into this pen right here. and do that again. You see it? And do that one more time. Here's where the notch is. And this pin is fixing to move it. I'm going to put a blue dot just barely on to the left of the notch that is currently in. That way you can see that dot moves. See, there's that blue dot. Anyway, now I got to find out why the hour hand is moving so fast. So a few adjustments, and now the hands turn like they're supposed to, and it's fixing to move the calendar. Voila. And that would be, of course, it should be 12 o'clock, but if it's not striking 12 o'clock, then I trip this right here until it's striking 12 o'clock, and of course put the hands where they need to be. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you choose when the moon dial rotates. It's typically 12 o'clock. And so, again, you choose when you want your moon dial to rotate. I might have to put some spacers as the minute hand is loose. I don't like it to be loose. My buddy's shipping me the parts, as I already mentioned. So last thing that needs to be done is put this back on the seat board and figure out where the seat board needs to go into the case. And these are the screws to tighten up the seat board in those slots that I mentioned. And I should have been paying attention because this can't go on as long as this plate is on, because it goes over the top of this center arbor. Yeah, I could take it off right here, but why damage it? It's just easier just to take these 4 screws back out. Well, 5 screws. I did put a screw up here where they had this piece glued. Yeah, it's not the right style of screw, but it's better than it being glued. And here the center board is back on. I can't really do anything else until I get the chains. That way I can put this movement on my test stand and put it in beat before I put it back in the clock. I do need to put this back on the seat board, but other than that, I'm at a standstill. So you would think, just by looking at it, that the seat board, the movement would go right there. Well, you'd be wrong, and I'm going to explain why. From where the center of the moon dial would be, which is about right here, to the bottom of the hood is approximately 15 inches. Okay? And currently, to where the center of the moon dial to where the hood would go is approximately less than 10 inches. So it needs to go up 5 inches at least. It's very difficult to figure out where the screw holes are. And so there's a hole here, a hole here, a hole here, and a hole up here on each side. So I found, by finding this hole and then shoving one of these bamboo screws in, I was able to locate this hole. And so I need to do the same thing on the other side. Again, it's very difficult to do this. But once you figure out where one set of holes are, you can line up the screws to find the other holes. And I already found this hole. So it's a time process, if that's the word you want to use. I tried doing this with the case standing upright, and I couldn't do it. But with the case laying on my saw horses, I was able to find the holes. But anyway, I'm going to continue doing this, and then I'll get back. As you can see, I screwed up because I got the I don't have the movement high enough up in the air. I should have measured it for that 15-inch mark. The edge of these holes right here, that way you could put the bolt head into that hole. That way it could get past this wheel, so you can move it up. Just like on this side, I could pull the movement up and then turn the bolt to get past that wheel. Did you see that? You put the bolt in the hole, the head of the bolt, and then you can bring it out and get past that wheel. You know, I never did take this movement off this. I never did take this seat board out of this clock. It was already out when I got it. So I'm having to figure all this stuff out. Now I got the seat board in the right place, but I don't have the movement far enough to where it comes forward, as the minute shaft and hour pipe are not coming through, and the moon dial is sticking a little bit far back. So I'm going to have to bring the movement forward some more. Fun. Looking at my pictures, I now know that the part that holds the movement in place goes behind this section here, where I had it here, and I did move it here, but it still is not out far enough, so I got to try to figure out what's wrong. This is a picture I downloaded from the Antique Price Guide website. Same clock, same dial, but somebody got the seat board turned around. If you see this notch right here, that is for the pendulum to give it clearance to swing back and forth. And so this seat board is turned around. As you can see, this is what the pendulum, the suspension spring hooks there, but they're not going to have the pendulum on this clock because there is no hole in this area for the pendulum to have clearance. That is what this space right here is for. So I can't go by these pictures because they got it all jacked around. And I discovered if you got this wheel too far back, that when you go to rotate the hands, the hour hand rotates too much. So I'm going to have to take this movement back out to fix this issue right here. so it doesn't, like I said, if you got the wheel too far back, you see that our hand is going to rotate too much. So if it's forward, I can't do this with one hand. Anyway, if it's forward, it works like it's supposed to, like that. And so there needs to be a spacer or something so this doesn't go too far back. But I put this wheel around. If I flip it around, there's a shaft, a brass collar, and I think that's what's stopping the hood from going too far back. So I'm going to try putting the hood on it again. And because the moon dial sticks so far up in the air, as you take the hood out, you have to pull it out and lift it up, because this board here is stopping the hood from coming off because it's hitting the moon dial. But anyway, I'm going to take this movement out and see if I could figure out why this has got too much inshake in it. I'm pretty sure I figured it out. This center arbor here that I'm pulling back and forth on, it's got a pinion gear at the very end. Let me get something to point with. It's got a pinion gear right here that lines up with this wheel right here. I think it's missing a bushing for that pivot. I think the bushing has came out, and that is why it got too much slack in it. When it's got too much slack in it, it's not turning that wheel. So I'm going to have to put a bushing in right here. And I did not want to take this movement apart. So I'm going to see if I could do it without taking this movement apart. There's a lot of people who are not going to believe me when I tell them this. But I know what I did. I did not have to take this movement apart to put a bushing. I got extremely lucky and found the outside diameter that bit that hole perfectly. All I had to do was broach the inside diameter to 2 millimeters, and voila, there's a bushing on this now. And the way I put it in, I put these legs on the movement, and then I put that bushing in that hole using a stake setting tool that fit over the diameter of that pivot. I was able to put the bushing in the hole, and it set in that hole. Now, because I put that bushing in, the gear that is on that wheel barely catches the wheel, but it catches the wheel. See, that wheel's got a lot of inch shake in it also, but you know, wheels are supposed to have inch shake in them. So because it hits that wheel, and if I turned it this way, the gear would come out more to that wheel. I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's the gear, and there's the wheel that it catches. But with it pushed all the way in, with the hands on, it works as it's supposed to. Like I said, it's barely catching that wheel, but it's catching that wheel, and the only way to fix it is to take this thing apart and push that pinion gear toward the front of the movement more. And like I said, I don't want to take this thing apart. It's functioning properly. Now, when I get the chains on and it's not functioning properly, maybe I'll have to take it apart. But right now, I'm not going to take it apart. I don't want to. And God blesses me all the time. He blesses me because I bless other people. Karma, you know, people say karma is a beat. It works the same way. If you bless other people, you will be blessed. I'm a true believer in that, and I try to bless people all the time. And I'm sure that just Mike and Cheryl and everybody else that's got YouTube videos have got uh, comments that are similar to this. This guy, yeah, baby, 1966 Josh, 96 Seth Thomas. Loosen that set screw as shown, and now it's chiming correctly on a quarter hours and top of the hours. Now, this was on a video that I did a couple years ago where I've got a grandpa the clock that has a Josh movement in it. Out of all the grandpa the clock movements out there, Josh movements are a pain in the rear to set up the strike, the chime. In fact, there's a DVD out there that you could buy on eBay specifically for showing this guy what I showed him for free. Glad that I could help you out. These Josh movements are tricky, that is for certain. And I tell him, there's a DVD on eBay for sale specifically for these types of movements. You got that information that you needed for free. Thanks for watching, commenting. I bless people so I get blessed. You know, subscribing to my channel or anybody's channel is free. There are channels out there that for membership fees, you get to see videos that other people who don't pay the membership fees can't see. My videos have always been free. They're always going to be free. And unless YouTube changes their policy, it don't cost you anything to watch my videos. Well, I take that back. It costs you electricity, it costs you internet fees, it costs your computer, phone, whatever. But as far as me charging you, it's always going to be free as long as I can get away with it. If YouTube tells me that I have to charge people, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But anyway, it's free. Free advice. He sent me the chains for my grandfather clock, and I thought regular chains were a pain in the butt to mess with. This is my first dealing really with a ladder chain, and they are a pain in the butt to unravel when there's a knot in them. You see, I've already straightened this part of the chain out once, and it's already messed up again. Every time you set it down, it messes up. But see, like I said, every time you set it down, it kinks up. There's one spot right here that I have to unravel and have to figure out how to do that. And I think it's tied in a knot, and it's not the easiest thing to do. I'd rather unravel a cuckoo clock chain versus this ladder chain. So anyway, I'm going to continue working on this and put my eyes on so I can see it better. But I will say this much about the ladder chain. As long as the links don't come apart, it's not going to come off that wheel. With a cuckoo clock or a regular chain where it has points, it could slip. If you don't have a chain guard, it could slip while you're winding it. This won't come off. I don't have the right pendulum. There's a section right here. If I could show it to you on my camera. Where the pendulum connects. I don't have the right pendulum for it. But he's got the stick at his house. It was too long to ship. And but I do have a pendulum, and I'm going to make up a hook to put in there. Here I get this pendulum stick and pendulum bob. I just drilled a couple holes in the top of the stick, ran a piece of wire through it, and then bent a loop to connect the wire to this main stick here. And I'm going to leave this running for a couple of days and see if it stays running, and then adjust it as needed. So I took the pendulum off and it was running, and I put the pendulum back on at stop. So I had to tape up where I connected that wire I told you about, and it's been running now for probably an hour and a half. So I'm going to allow it to run. It's striking just fine. I'm going to allow it to run overnight. If it continues running, I'll put it into the case. So the clock's been running for about 24 hours now. I put a cuckoo hand on because if you put the regular hand on, it could hit this board. So I put the cuckoo hand on to make sure that the hand is moving, and I put it up to 12 to start with, and obviously it's moving. So I'm going to let it continue to run, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll put it in the case. I might have to move the seat board toward the front just a little bit, because last time I put it in the case, the hour pipe and minute pipe did not stick out of the dial enough for me to put the hands on. So I might have to move the seat board toward the front of the case just a half inch, eighth of an inch, something like that. I shouldn't have to. The holes should have lined up and everything should line up, but it don't. So I'm going to have to do something to make it line up. If you watch the pin, it's going to rotate the dial. Or it should rotate the dial. Let me put it that way. There, it's going to rotate the dial. And it does that, like I said, twice a day. It's an 8-hour movement. 8-day movement. It's the weights. If it was a 30-hour movement, the weights would already be at the floor. And I didn't have them all the way wound up to start with. And one of the ways, just like in the cuckoo clocks, you could tell it's an 8-day movement. Great wheel or first wheel, second wheel, third wheel, escapement wheel. The escapement wheel on this clock's in front. The great wheel, second wheel, third wheel, and fourth wheel. And then I'm going from the wrong side. Again, sorry. Here, a great wheel, second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel. And then the fourth wheel lines up with the escapement wheel. I was on the strike side. It's a long day. Again, first wheel or great wheel, second wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel. 30-hour clocks are only going to have 3 wheels. Great wheel, second wheel, and this third wheel would be over here. And it's normally the escapement wheel. But like I said, in this case, the escapement wheel is on front of the movement. As you can see it moving right there. So I'm thinking, because when I put the movement in the case before and put the hood on, that the dial didn't stick out the hour pipe and the minute pipe didn't stick out far enough to put the hands on. So I'm thinking, if I measure the gap that's underneath the seat board now, and I don't know why, because I used the original holes, but if I measure the gap that's underneath the seat board right now and add 3/4 of an inch to an inch to bring the seat board closer to the front of the movement, and that way I put shims down and then screw the seat board back down. I think that, in my mind, that should take care of the arbors fitting through the hole of the dial. So that's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I brought the seat board out 2 inches, a total of 2 inches, where before is 1 5/8. So now the hands fit on, but I need to move the movement to the right some. As you can see, the
winding arbors are too far to the left, and the minute and hour pipe's too far to the left. I moved it too far to the right, and I got to go back to the left just a tiny bit. Now this is perfect. So now I need to take the hood back off and tighten up the finger nuts that hold the movement in place with a pair of pliers, I believe. Now with the weights on, I had to adjust the bell, but and it's working properly. Now to get the clock in beat here. And remember, this is my makeshift pendulum with bob, as this is the original bob, and my friend's got the stick, but the stick is broken. But I'll have to either come up with a different stick, use that stick, but the original stick's got the original hanger, but this is the original bob, and it's pretty heavy, probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 pounds.
So I got the videos, and one of them, a dog shit or something, there was bite marks in it. And so I took some super glue and baking soda, but half of it's gone. So I got this sculpted kit that I bought a while back, where I was trying to make the plastic ears for the Music Governor fans. And I'm going to see if I can make the rest of this. I don't know if it's going to stick to the wood or not. I don't know. But you never know until you try. I do know inside that container it stays soft, but once it's exposed to air, it gets hard. And so how long it takes to get extremely hard, I don't know. I took a paintbrush and cut it up to make a dowel for it. It's just I don't know, just experimenting. I do that a lot. I've got wood filler, but that's a lot to fill in with wood filler. So I'm gonna try it. You never know. As my mom always said, and it's her birthday today, you never know until you try. Columbus did, and he discovered America. Or something like that. Whatever it turns out, it's going to be a lot better than half of it missing. Anyway, I want to continue playing with this, and that's what I'm doing, playing. Here, you should be able to see this pen that's on the moon dial. To turn the moon dial, it's right here. It's in the wrong spot. It's 10 after 11, and it should be up in this area. So I'm going to loosen the screw that holds this wheel on, and then rotate this to put it in the right area. That way, when the clock strikes 12 or thereabouts, the moon dial will move. Now I have the pen right here, so I need to rotate the hands to see if the moon dial is going to move. And it didn't move when it struck 12 because I didn't move it over enough. So I'm going to move it some more. Moved
moved it, and the only way to find out whether it's going to move is to rotate the hands. So I'll come back when we're at about 11:30. And just as a word of caution, when you're rotating the hands, you have to pretend like you're a clock. And when you get down here to the half hour, you want to go slow. The same way when you get up here to the hour, you want to go slow. Especially if you're dealing with cuckoo clocks, Ron. Because if you're going too fast, turning the hands, it doesn't have time to drop the rack in a lot of cases. So make sure you rotate the hands slowly, Ron. That's a little humor. I might have to go all the way back around because the wheel wasn't lined up with this moondial wheel, but I think I might have it. It rotated just before the 12, and I think that's pretty close. I'm going to adjust it a little bit more. I have it right now. Even if it rotates after the 12, I'd be okay with that. And it's starting to rotate. $25 after 12. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I could sit here and mess with this more, the way it'll rotate right on the 12, but I'm okay with it rotating after the 12. Now the wheel's lined up, I went all the way back around. I don't think it's going to go off at 12, and I'll tell you the reason why. At 6 o'clock, the pen is in the 6 o'clock position. At 12, the pen is in the 12 o'clock position. If I had the pen in the 12:30 position, it would have went off. Or the 1 o'clock position. Here it went off at 12:30. So if I would have had the pen in the 12:30 position or the 6:30 position at 6 o'clock, it would have went off at 12. But it's a pain in the butt to do. Here that pen is in the 6 o'clock position and it just struck 6. So I'm going to move that pen so it's in the 6:30 position. The strike weight is on the left. Time weight is on the right. The weights were even when I started this adjustment. And so you can see I've been adjusting for about 3 days worth. I think I might have it. It almost turned. That's 12. And it rotates at 1/4 after 12. I'm going to leave it. I'm okay with that. Now you can wind this clock up either by pulling on the chains or winding it with the winding arbor. They both work. I just got through winding it by pulling on the chains. Now it's time to take the hands off with the hood on. I still got to put the middle finial in place. 96 inches tall. And it cost me a whole $50. And it's 6 minutes after 12 here, so Can you believe that somebody was going to destroy this clock by taking the movement out and putting electric movement in and making a gun cabinet? 1911 New Haven clock. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please leave me some comments. Please subscribe to all the channels that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Even if you don't collect anniversary clocks, please subscribe to Torsion Dell's YouTube channel. There's a couple of young kids, Jordan Busby and Mark. His name is Martin Corbez or something like that. Mark _ YTB 3051. 14 years old. Collects and repairs his own clocks. I believe in supporting the youth, the younger generation. If you don't, these clocks, like this, is 1911 antique clock that's 13 years old, will go in the dump. So please support the younger generation. Please subscribe to all the YouTube channels that I mentioned. There are some great people out there that repair clocks. Michael Anderson, Just Mike, he repairs clocks that I refuse to repair. He's really good at what he does. Cheryl Adair's Repairs. She's a much better teacher than I will ever be. You know, she only started repairing clocks about a year ago, and look how far she's come. Her channel is growing all the time, but I want it to grow faster than what it is. I could name all the channels that I mentioned. Clocks with Seth, his videos are professional. Time for Clocks, amateur clock repair. Does a really good job. I really love the history he gets into. Scotty's Clock World, really good at repairing American antique clocks. Shows you how to set up the levers. Time for Clocks, how to repair pendulum clocks, / Matthew Reed, 2 different channels. Professional man that makes parts. He repairs clocks for a living. He's over in the UK, just like Torsion Dell. Makes parts. I wish I had half their talent. Trumpeter Man FS, Frank Snyder. He doesn't show you how to repair the trumpeter clocks from Whirly clocks, but man, the man is talented. He has some really expensive clocks. Whirly clocks can range in the thousands of dollars. Trumpeter clocks, thousands of dollars. Jody Davis, cuckoo clock artist. She designs and custom builds cuckoo clocks, and her prices are equal to the clocks that you purchase from Germany. And she's right here in the States, Tennessee, I believe, or Georgia. She's down south. But anyway, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me some comments, and may God bless each and every one of you. I think I covered all the channels, but if not, please subscribe to all the channels that I mentioned. And may God bless each and every one of you.